In this lesson, we are going to be writing an equation of a parabola in intercept form from a graph. What we need to remember is that the form of an equation of a quadratic of a parabola is y equals a, the leading coefficient, x minus p, x minus q, where p and q are our x-intercepts. So to write the equation, the first 2 points that we need are the x-intercepts of our parabola. So this is the point 0, 0, and this intercept is at the point -2, 0. Then we can use any other point on the parabola. If the vertex is in a good spot, we could use that. This is at -1, -1. Or we could use this point up here, which is at -3, +3. Or at +1, +3. Any of those points where we see that they're crossing at corners so that we don't have any fractions or decimals would be great. Now, the way that we write the equation of the parabola is that we do not know a, which is the leading coefficient. That's what we're going to be looking for. So we're going to substitute in every other variable and then solve for a. Remember that our intercepts p and q, and then the other point we picked we're going to use for the values of x and y. So we're simply going to substitute in. So we have -1 for y is equal to, we don't know a, we're using -1 for x minus -2, which is our first intercept. X is -1 minus 0, which is our second intercept. So once we've located the points and we've substituted them in, we're going to do the mathematics. So -1 minus -2, which would be +2, would be 1. And -1 minus 0 would be -1. -1 then is equal to 1 times -1, which is -1a. And we're going to divide both sides by -1 to find out that a is equal to 1. Now to write the equation of the parabola, we're simply going to substitute in the a value and the p and the q, leaving the x and y as variables to represent the entire parabola. So to write the equation, we have y is equal to a, which is 1, x minus p, which is minus a -2, and x minus 0, which is our q value. So we have y equals, we don't need to write the 1 if we're going, we can, but it's not necessary, and won't actually be written when we have standard form of a parabola. Minus a negative would be +2, and then x minus 0 is actually x. And then we have x plus 2. So this is what it will look like, the equation of this particular parabola in intercept form. So here are the steps for writing the equation of a parabola. Step number 1, substitute the intercepts for p and q. Substitute the vertex or another point for x and y. Calculate a, then rewrite the intercept form of the parabola by now substituting in p, q, and a. Then make sure to distribute to find the equation of the parabola if we are doing standard form. That's only for standard form, and we'll be doing that in the next section. So for right now, we're going to leave these in intercept form. Unless they ask us for standard form, then we will distribute. Let's take a look at the next example. So here we have our two x-intercepts. This one is at -3, 0, and this one's at 1, 0. So we have our p and our q. And again, we have a great point, which is our vertex that we can use for our x and our y values. So when we substitute in, we have 2 equals a, the leading coefficient that we're going to solve for. X is -1 minus -3, which is our first intercept, and -1 minus 1, which is our second intercept. Now we do the mathematics. -1 minus -3, which is +3, would be +2, and -1 minus 1 is -2. when we do our mathematics, we're going to take 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4a, and we are going to divide by negative 4 to solve. So negative 1/2 is our leading coefficient. Well, let's take a look at that. Negative means our parabola is going down, and it is. 1/2 means that our parabola is wider, and it does look wider. So now we'll write the equation of our parabola. Y equals negative 1/2 times x minus negative 3, which is plus 3, and x minus 1. This is the equation of our parabola in intercept form. Let's take a look at our last example. Here we have only one x-intercept, which is at the point 2, 0. So that's going to stand for both the P and the Q. And then we have another point over here, which is the point 0, 4, which we can use for our x and our y value, since the point 2, 0 is also the vertex. So let's substitute in. Y is 4. We're going to solve for a, so we're going to leave that as the variable. X is 0 that we're using, minus 2, and again 0 minus 2. We write that twice because the x-intercept is the same. So we have 4 equals a times negative 2 and negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, and we're going to divide both sides by 4 to find that our a value is a positive 1. Let's double check that. Positive meaning our parabola is opening up, and it does look like it is in the standard width position. So let's write the equation. So we have y equals 1, x minus 2, and x minus 2. And that is our equation of this parabola in intercept form. Let's review. When we write the equation of a parabola in vertex form, be sure to substitute the intercepts for P and Q, then substitute the vertex or another point for x and y, calculate the a, and then rewrite the intercept form of the parabola by now substituting in P, Q, and A, and then only distribute if you want standard form of the equation. If it asks you for only intercept form, then you do not need to distribute. Please remember to complete the reflection.